Hi everyone, this is Conscious Truth again. It's been a while since I made a video. I've been out looking at the stars this evening and the planets and the beautiful sky and thinking a lot about my model of the universe and thinking how most likely it's correct. In ancient times they depicted the stars as being in a celestial sphere around the planet, like in this picture. And as it seems pretty much impossible that the world we live in is a planet, a spinning planet covered in water, then it only makes sense that the stars and the planets are spinning around us in some kind of spherical object, which it could be part of the same object. The Earth and the sky could be one object with sort of different layers that the outer layer spins around. But I was looking at the Venus just now and thinking about how we really don't know much about the stars and the planets and really what they are. And I was thinking back in ancient times, before these telescopes appeared, the ancient astrologers and alchemists used to talk about the stars and the planets, and their main focus of interest was that they represented different energies. And I was thinking that's kind of interesting because, they weren't stupid people. They were scientists. They realized that, something small in the something far away in the distance looks small. It wasn't outside of their reasoning to think that could be some kind of a place that you could visit. But they didn't really used to talk about that. They spoke more about how the energy of Venus, the energy of Mars, and it was as if they saw the sky as being just points of energy that rotated around the world they lived in. I think that's probably closer to the truth. We don't really know how big any of these objects are. I recently did some research into trying to find out how they actually know how big the sun is. And I read on many different websites, academic websites, university websites, that claimed that we now know the distance to the sun due to radar measurements. So I tried to find those radar measurements and I found it very difficult. And in the end, a colleague of mine decided to post a question on the astronomy physics website. What's it called? Physics Stack Exchange. And the question was, when was today's radar measurement of the Earth-Sun distance made and by who? And the top answer that was posted was by someone called David Hammond. And it was quite funny because he said that there has never been a direct measurement of the distance between the Earth and the Sun. The best we can do is measure the distance between the Earth and other planets, and from that infer the distance between the Earth and the Sun. I immediately thought that was quite strange, because how can you infer the distance between the Earth and the Sun if you don't know how big the Sun is? You can't calculate the distance unless you know the size. And then he says, today's estimates aren't based on radar pings from Venus. I think he means of Venus. He says that's so last millennium. So apparently and then he goes on to say that, space agencies have sent spacecraft to all of the other 7 planets in the solar system, and using telemetry from those spacecraft, they've figured everything out. So he basically in the first paragraph, he just trashes the idea that doing a direct physical measurement of the distance from the Earth to a planet is some kind of outdated, old-fashioned idea. and then he thinks that it's better to just completely put all your trust into NASA and ESA and whoever who tell us that they've sent these spacecraft out there. It doesn't seem to be a very good way of thinking, if you ask me. So anyway, and then he said the name of the paper was someone called, the people who apparently made the current measurement of the currently accepted measurement of the astronomical unit apparently was made by someone called Pityaver and Standish, and apparently they published a paper called Proposals for the Masses of the Three Largest Asteroids, the Moon-Earth Mass Ratio, and the Astronomical Unit. And that was in a magazine called Celestial Mechanics and Dynamical Astronomy. If anyone wants to look at that, I tried to find it, but you actually have to pay to download it. And I will make another video about it once I've had a chance to have a look at it. But it seems that all these universities and institutions just put all their faith in these kind of, in the work of these people without probably ever actually reading it. I bet you anything. I bet you there's a whole bunch of astrophysics students out there who have never read this paper. I bet money on it. But they just accept that that work is just accepted by everyone. It'd be very interesting to actually read that paper and find out how they did that measurement, which I will do in an upcoming video. Azoth. So when I look at the stars and the planets, and I think about my model, you have to see my other videos if you don't know what I'm talking about, but basically I have proposed a model of the universe in which the Earth that we live in is completely flat, and I really enjoy the work of Jeranism, and I did enjoy the work of Eric Dubay before he started making strange videos dressing up as women and saying that he likes Hitler. But yeah, probably my favorite other YouTuber at the moment is Jeranism, because he brings a very clear view of the subject to everyone. I forgot what I was saying now. Basically, yeah. Well, I don't want to sort of trash anyone else's opinions or anything, but I think it's quite interesting that I have actually published quite a few videos about this, and no one else seems to have picked it up. I'm surprised that Jeranism hasn't picked it up yet. But he gives a lot of very good. He gives a lot of very good evidence and to show that we're not on a spinning planet, and that we probably don't live on a planet, and that it is flat, but that it doesn't go any further. And you have to kind of take it to the next level, because you can't just say we live on a flat plane and that's it, because that's ridiculous. You seriously want to tell people that we live on a flat pancake that's flying through space or something? I mean, that is kind of ridiculous, isn't it? I think everyone agrees on that. And we are living in 21st century now. We are aware of hyperspace and multidimensional physics. So I don't really know why people have such a difficult time wrapping their head around the idea that we live on a flat plane, but that the flat plane could actually be curved in a higher dimension. So in a sense, we are still living on a ball, but whenever you measure it, it always comes out flat. And that is exactly what we seem to perceive. Many experiments have been done that seem to show that we live on a flat plane. Yet when we see the stars and the sun orbiting around us, they all descend below the horizon at exactly the same speed, and as they descend below the horizon, other people in other regions say that they see them rising at the same speed. That couldn't happen on the kind of Eric Dubay and other people's flat pancake model. It just wouldn't work, okay? It would work, however, if we were on some kind of hyperdimensional object and the celestial sphere rotated around us. Or it could be part of the same object. There could be like onion layers, there could be a kind of central spherical hyperspace sphere type object, which is, to us appears completely flat, which would be the Earth. And then there's another onion layer which contains all of the heavenly bodies that rotates around us. I'm waiting for the comments that say stop sucking your teeth. It's funny, I never actually heard that expression before making YouTube videos, but I've noticed it on other people's YouTube videos as well. With these strange trolls that obsess over people sucking their teeth. I'm not actually sucking my teeth, I'm just, I don't know. Anyway. Thinking, I think it's called, thinking. Yeah, so this is the model that I propose, and it seems to fit all of the observed, all of the observations that are made. I think that, and then coming to the other point, the aliens and UFOs and stuff, I propose that the constellations and stars and planets are actually all part of our world. All of the planets and stars and the sun orbit around us in a celestial sphere, and that's all our world. There could, however, be other worlds like this, somehow outside of us. And maybe there are beings from those other worlds who have figured out how to tunnel through hyperspace into these other multidimensional shapes that we live in. Maybe the Earth actually looks something like this, or something like this. It's interesting that many people who have used these powerful psychedelics like DMT, who go into hyperspace in their consciousness, they quite often meet with other intelligent life forms. And could it be that some of these aliens have actually developed their technology, their physical technology, to the point where they can physically jump through hyperspace? Like we have the ability to travel in our consciousness into hyperspace, but what if they've actually evolved to the point where they can travel physically through hyperspace, and they've actually tunneled through into these other hyperspace objects like our world? Like this could be our world. What you're looking at now could look like that. That's why when NASA and stuff pretend to go into space, and they show these silly fake pictures of the Earth ball, that's just ludicrous. They would never see that. It doesn't matter how high they go, they would only ever see a flat plane, and they would have to literally travel outside of three-dimensional space and then look back at our world, and it would look probably something like this or this. Or I'm not saying probably, but it wouldn't look anything like those silly NASA fake pictures that they've made. You can see my other videos, and I'm interested. I also find interesting that Jeranism has never referenced my amazing smoking gun video, which is probably, I still think, is the ultimate smoking gun about fake Earth NASA pictures. He quite often talks about fake NASA stuff, but I'm surprised he hasn't picked up on that. Anyway, if you're listening, Jeranism, you should take a look at my videos. And just now, I was thinking about Jupiter and Venus just now. I was thinking, you look at Jupiter. I mean, maybe we're looking at another one of these worlds. Maybe this is because we're in a three-dimensional reality. So when you look at something like Jupiter. I mean, that could be an entire world containing stars and a celestial sphere, and for some reason it just looks like this to us. I don't know about that idea. That was just a little tangential idea I had when I was looking at the planets just now, thinking that maybe they actually are self-contained other worlds as well. Maybe if you flew in through the clouds here, you would come out and there'd be stars and there'd be another world. Who knows? Probably not. But you know, I was trying to come up with an idea of, you know, what are these objects. But I still lean more strongly towards the ancient astrologers' view that the planets and stars are energetic, you know, forms of energy that influence us. You know, you look at the sun. The sun is obviously there to provide light and heat, and it's, you know, life source for us in some sense. So why can't the other, you know, that's obvious, that's very obvious to us what the sun does, but the other planets and stars, you know, maybe they're doing other stuff, you know, they're transmitting other types of energy towards the Earth, which is doing other stuff, you know, maybe we can't even imagine what those other things are that they're doing, but they're still doing that. You know, the moon is not so difficult to understand. It clearly emits a different type of energy that affects us. You know, so why can't all the other stars and planets be doing the same thing? You know, emitting their own other type of energy that is somehow necessary for us in our world. And when I was searching for this video, I typed in Jupiter into Google image search, and I just saw this image. It made me burst out laughing. Ta-da! What is that? That's supposed to be Hubble captured this image. Well done, Hubble. Hubble captures vivid aurora. Wow, look at that. Doesn't that just look like they took a picture like this and they just photoshopped some kind of translucent blob onto the top of it? I can't actually believe that this is real. I thought this was some kind of joke. That just cannot be real. That's got to be some kind of joke. Hubble does it again. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up now. Ultimately, I think we do live in a spiritual reality. I'll actually mention just one other thing. I've been doing a lot of research into the Mandela Effect recently, and I'm yet to make a video about it, but you know, one thing that does kind of annoy me with the Mandela Effect is that so many people are saying that there's two explanations to the Mandela Effect. One is that it's CERN did it, and the other one is that we live in a computer virtual reality world that somebody's hacking into. I mean, come on, does anyone really, I mean, is that really all you can think of, people? You know, it's, if someone was hacking into if we lived in some kind of virtual reality, right, and someone was hacking in, then you'd be seeing like giant purple octopuses like flying past your window, or it would start raining, you know, like chickens and marshmallows or something. I mean, do you know what I mean? Anything could happen. It would be completely insane, but that's not what we're seeing. The things we see with the Mandela Effect are very subtle, strange, and they seem to have sort of prophetic message-like qualities to them. And they seem to all be done in a kind of way that in a way you can kind of explain it away, you know, like they're all kind of little things that you can ignore if you don't really want to believe in it, but other people who really actually spend the time thinking about it become very convinced that something is happening, and that shows the work of a great mind. Okay, I think these are messages from the creator of the universe, or from some kind of high angelic beings. I don't think this is some kind of accident, kind of from CERN, or some kind of someone just trying to mess around with us, like we all live in a computer virtual reality. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, come on, does anyone really believe that? Look, we live in a spiritual reality, okay? A lot of crazy stuff has been happening in the world ever since I can remember, since I was a kid. I basically, all I've experienced is some kind of crazy world with crazy people that just want to have wars all the time, fight, kill, just insanity, deception. They want to deceive everyone, they want to lie to everyone, they want to kill people, they want to poison us. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. And I think that, a lot of these things that have happened with the Mandela Effect, it feels to me like they have some kind of hidden meaning to them. Particularly that there was the Queen song, "We Are the Champions." I should really make this into another video, but anyway, if you've listened all the way to the end, then I might as well just finish what I'm saying. We are the champions of the world. Why is "of the world" gone? It's like a message saying, okay, we're not the champions of the world. We're not the rulers of the world. No one rules the world. The world is for everyone. That's the message of that effect, right? Another one, Dolly. The biggest Mandela Effect for me was Dolly's braces. Okay, that one continues to blow my mind because I saw that movie many times when I was growing up. It's the whole point of that scene when she smiles is that she has braces. It doesn't make sense without her having the braces. I actually bought a copy of the original VHS tape to check it. I saw another video where someone did that. I haven't got around to actually getting a VHS machine and checking it yet, but I will do it probably at some point. I'm pretty convinced that it has changed. And that's a very interesting one as well, because that movie is about some Illuminati type of character, some the evil, the evil genius, and he wants to go up into space apparently and wants to kill everyone on the Earth so he can control the Earth. So that's a very interesting movie for everyone to be pointed to. It's like the creator is saying, look at this, look at this. And and the meaning behind that one is because Jaws is working for the dark side. Okay, he's an evil minion he's a minion of the evil genius. And when he sees that she is like him, she has the same defects as him, the funny teeth, he realizes that I can't forget his name, the evil genius guy wants to kill everyone. He realizes that she's going to be killed because that's one of the things the evil genius character, he says he wants to get rid of these defective people. He basically wants to carry out eugenics. And then Jaws is the character who works for him, who's going to help him carry out the eugenics. And then when he realizes that the love of his life is one of these supposedly defective people with these funny teeth, he realizes that the evil genius needs to be stopped. So isn't that a very powerful, potent message there? Okay, we can't judge who we think needs to be eliminated, like the Nazis. That's basically the message behind that, and it's telling us, those people who work for the dark side, they need to realize that what they're doing. But the fact that now she doesn't have the braces in the movie what is the message of that? It's like it's saying that that she, that he loves her anyway. It's almost like he wants to save humanity anyway, even though not because she's somehow defective like him. He just loves her just anyway, out of humanitarian, It's a little bit complex to explain. I have to make another video about that. Anyway, so that was the other Mandela effect. And then I'm trying to think other ones. I mean, a lot of these ones with the logo changes, I don't know about that. You know, maybe they changed, maybe they didn't. Maybe that's just some kind of change which is more for the masses, you know, mass public to digest, where they can see, you know, it's like a little message saying, okay, look, reality can change, things can change, everything isn't as fixed as they're trying to tell you, you know. This is the message of the creator as well. It's that, okay, look, reality can change. We live in a spiritual reality which can change according to our will and according to our spiritual evolution in this world. Okay, it's not because we live in a computer. I mean, are these people serious? I've seen these morons on telly, this Neil deGrasse, and these people like this disgusting guy that looks like a bulldog. What's he called? That disgusting. I made videos about him. I can't even remember his name. The weird atheist scientist people, Dawkins and Krauss. That's it, Krauss. I've seen these videos where they actually seriously talk about that they think that they've detected that the universe is made of computer code. I mean, these people are seriously deluded. You know, they think that because they're tapping into some kind of information in the universe, that means we live in a computer. No, spiritual universe is made of information. You know, this creation we're in can seem like a computer because of its complexity. When you tap into this deep complexity of the universe, your mind starts to try to find connections, and you go, oh, what is this like? Oh, this reminds me of a computer, because I'm seeing this complexity. I'm seeing this deep complexity in the universe. So your mind tries to find something to compare it to, and it goes, oh, that reminds me of a computer. That doesn't mean that we're living in a computer, okay? I mean, the logical leap that these people are taking is just astronomical, you know, for want of a better word. It's totally absurd. And another thing I was thinking about, you know, these atheist type people that don't believe that in anything spiritual. I was trying to think, you know, how can I convince these atheists? And I was thinking the other day, you know, so I've seen these explanations. People say, oh, things like, oh, someone has a spiritual experience. Oh, that was just your brain creating that experience. That was just your brain creating that experience. So it wasn't real. It's like, well, what are you experiencing now then? What are you experiencing all the time? That's your. If it's just your brain making an experience and therefore it's not real, then you might as well say that everything you experience isn't real. It doesn't make any sense. It's illogical. It's like a child could understand that. You know, if you experience something, it's real. You can't say, oh, you had an experience of God or something spiritual, so therefore that's your brain, so therefore that's not real. When therefore everything you experience is your brain, but you say that is real, and it's just a deception. Okay, these people are stupid. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to Lawrence Krauss. He's an evil, satanic atheist. Don't listen to Richard Dawkins. He's an evil, satanic atheist. Okay? They make me sick, these people. They have no idea what they're talking about, or maybe they do. Maybe they're consciously evil. I don't know. But, you know, ultimately all roads lead back to the Vatican, and I do believe that this deception was started by the Vatican. And sadly enough, their tentacles have reached into all of the universities, and, you know, people just believe this stuff. They're told that, oh, we know the astronomical unit, we know the distance of the sun, because someone worked it out, and it was in this paper. It was in this paper by Pitjever and Standish. Okay, no one goes to read the paper. No one actually spends the time to actually read it and figure out what they actually did. Well, I will. You know, but I guarantee you, well, I don't guarantee you, but, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just full of mumbo jumbo. You know, If they're trying to tell us that, oh, measuring the distance to planets with a radar is some old-fashioned idea, that's just bullshit. Okay, that's like you use a tape measure. If I want to measure the table, I use a tape measure, right? I don't just come up with some kind of weird abstract theory of how big the table is. I get a tape measure out and I measure it. Okay, if you want to know the distance of something, you measure it with an instrument. Okay, if you measure it with an instrument, then you know you're gonna have a real physical measurement. But they try and tell us they can't do that. And yes, I know that they supposedly had this Hipparcos satellite that measured the parallax to the stars. Okay, well, how do we trust these people that they measured that parallax? They could say anything. And the other funny thing as well about that is, if the Earth is supposedly traveling around the sun, why do you need to use a satellite? If the Earth is traveling 93 million miles, basically around the sun, double that distance, okay? So it's going like 186 million miles in its travel every year. Then you should be able to measure a lot of parallax just from the Earth, from a very, very easy to measure fixed point on the Earth. Why would you need to use a satellite? That's very strange to me. And when you read the website about Hipparcos, they said that as soon as it was launched, there was an error, and it started drifting, and they had to sort of use some kind of they had to come up with some mathematical model to correct the drift, because it wasn't in geostationary orbit. So you're telling me you put this satellite up to measure the parallax of the stars, which is this minuscule little measurement they're trying to measure, but the thing was drifting all over the place, and they had to correct for it. That sounds, I just call BS on that. Anyway, so this picture here, you could imagine that our world is somewhere in the middle there, and all the stars there, and we live in this kind of bubble, like hyperspace bubble shape. And maybe there's other worlds where they can tunnel in. Like, see this little tunnel coming in? Maybe that's how the UFOs enter into our universe. I actually saw a UFO once at an eclipse, and it's very interesting because they seem to quite often appear during eclipses. And I thought at the time, that could be because that's a good way to measure time. When there's an eclipse, when an eclipse happens, that's a physical thing you can measure, and you can navigate through time that way. But it could also be something to do with some other reason why they appeared then, maybe to show themselves to us. I'm not sure, but I saw this UFO and I thought it was Venus. I was looking at it, and then it just started to flash on and off, and it sort of flashed a few times and then just kind of disappeared in front of my eyes. It would look like a silvery shape, bright white silvery orb, and a few of us saw it. Anyway, so there you go. Have fun, everyone.